Yeah, it's contagious. Yes, sir. Yeah, yeah. I thought about that. Make sure I get in the right camera here. It might come down and hit me. I don't want to do that. I I used to go to camp. I didn't go to camp. I didn't go to a Florida college camp or a camp as a camper. I didn't know about it. I just didn't know, and would be honest, even if I knew, wouldn't have the money to go to it anyway, so it wouldn't have mattered. So, but I went as a counselor. I had some friends in Nashville, the McGee's, Danny and Kathy McGee. They went to the one in Ohio, and Kathy was relentless that I would go to Florida College. I was at Lipscomb at the time, and so I went to the camp for a week. It was amazing because I'd never done that before to go to a church camp. I actually thought it was kind of corny to go to a church camp. I'll just be honest. I kind of grew up in the church, but not really grew up in the church. I thought it was kind of goofy and be around all these Christian people for a week. How boring would that be? If I'm being honest, and I am being honest. But I went and it was amazing because it was very uplifting. It was very recharging. I'd never experienced that before. All these new songs that people were singing and having 300 plus people similar to my age, even though I was a counselor, I was only 18. The closest one too. There were probably campers that were 18 that were there. I might have been 19. And so when I left, I remember working on a golf course. I was weed eating that year. I weed eated I thought it'd be a good idea to work on a golf course. So I weed eated for 3 months. Oh my goodness, I've never weed eated so much in my life. But the whole time I'm weed eating, I'm singing all of these songs from camp the whole time. Because when I left camp, it was just a charge. And as I was thinking about this in this comment, I'm glad you brought it up. Because I was like, I think this is me, Gerald, speaking here. This is my opinion. So if I'm wrong, you can throw me out. But I think it would be neat if this whole congregation could go for a week with no distractions and sing and do Bible studies together and grow together and recharge our battery together. And I believe when we got back, we would have zeal. We would be encouraged. Just it would be uplifting. I think it'd be amazing. Probably never going to do it. I may try to do it, but I think that would be. I don't know. Anyway, that's just a thought. So it's like when you got baptized, that feeling. It would be a chance to regain that. Anyway, any other comments about zeal for God? Yep. I had a friend that was I was always around him. He was bigger than life. I'd go up to him and say, "How's your day?" He goes, "You know what? Today I'm gonna take over the world, and tonight I'm gonna give it back, just because I can." And I always loved that because he was just always just bigger than life, and that whole zeal about being active and like what we can do in the kingdom and what we can do in a church and having that zeal. Any other comments before we move on? I just thought this is interesting how Paul is pointing these things out, and this is what's unique and what's calling these people different. Verse 18, we have sent along with him a brother whose fame in things of the gospel has spread through all the churches. All right, so my Bible scholars here, tell me exactly who this famous brother is. Johnny? I'm disappointed. I thought of all people you would know tonight who it was. I'm just, I'm just kidding. Well, I know. The identity of the brother is unknown, but these are the possibilities. I'm just kidding. I don't know. Luke, Apollos, Barnabas, Silas, Timothy, Mark, whoever, Subhartar. Well, I can't even do that. All the rest of these guys. I would say most scholars probably think this particular person is Apollos. Nobody knows. If they were going to put money on it and gamble or whatever, they would choose Apollos. But clearly the text doesn't know. And isn't it odd that Paul doesn't name the person? Anybody find that odd besides me? Anybody have any speculation maybe why he wouldn't name the person? That's very good. That's a straight to the point. Yeah, it's not important, Brad. Yeah. Maybe he was so famous that they just knew who he didn't need to name him. I mean, he was so good at what he did. I mean, clearly when he shows up, they're gonna know who it is. But I don't know. I found it. I just found it. I found it odd. I mean, we don't know who it was. I mean, I'm not going to try to tell you I do. Um, um, but he must have been a really good preacher, and people really liked him. I mean, that must have been the case. And I'll make another comment about that here in a minute about the Paul contrasting that. But so I don't know who it might have been. And in verse 19 it says, "Go ahead, Johnny." Might have been Earl Robertson. Yeah, could have been. Oh, Earl. Man, that guy, he was on me every minute he was around me. Dale, you think you get onto me? Man, Earl was on me. Oh boy. Oh man. Verse 19, and not only this, but he has also been appointed by the churches to travel with us in this gracious work, which is being administered by us for the glory of the Lord himself and to show our readiness. I mean, this guy is clearly thought well of. He's very famous. Everybody knows him. And they put him above and beyond everybody that's out there. What kind of reputation did this man have? Must have had a really, really good one. It must have been above board all the way around. And 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 it's interesting that Paul does this. Paul, I know we read about Paul, and I know we think Paul is phenomenal, and he is. But what kind of reputation would Paul have had? Not so. Go ahead, Dale. Depends who you ask. Paul's reputation would have been all over the place, depending on who you talk to and the circles that were there and whatnot. And I think about this because I'm like, why would he want? He's naming this, and the next verse he'll talk about he's there to protect them, to say that they're not doing things. And I'm like, well, he's the Apostle Paul. Why does he need some famous preacher to go around saying that he's above board? Well, maybe because of that. And who were some of the people he hung out with? I I mean, you got some fishermen. I don't know. I don't know if fishermen were trusted or not. I don't. Back in that day, I don't know if they had like what kind of reputation fishermen had, but not highly educated. Matthew, what did he do for a living? He definitely didn't have probably the best reputation there. He worked for the enemy, for crying out loud. He was really bad. And so the point I'm making is some of these people he was running around with may have not had the status, may not. I'm just speculating. I don't know, but this person was going to be above board and was going to be one that was going to put the blessing on everything, and that was going to make everybody feel good about what they were doing. Yes, my love. Yeah, yeah. Go. Yes, sir. Yeah, and so he was struggling with that, and I kind of thought about it. I've been with my company 22 years, almost 22 years. You know, I've tried very hard to have a Christian reputation at work, and I think you would. I think if you ask people about Christian aspects, I think everybody would give you the same answer on things like no one's ever seen me drink before. I don't curse at work. Blah 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 blah. And that's not everybody. I mean, I work with a lot of people who drink heavily and curse heavily. So it's. I mean, that's pretty easy to do. But the thing that's interesting is who you talk to at work. I've had to fire quite a few people. If you talk to those people, they probably wouldn't say good things about me. Not because I did anything bad. It's just because it wasn't working. We had to let go. There are other people that you talk to at work who's, oh man, he's the greatest person ever. And you talk to some other people, and they might say, yeah, that bar guy, blah 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 blah. And so how that's just life. That's it doesn't mean everything is true. There's always two sides to every story. There's always a whole nother thing. And I think Paul is caught up into that sometimes. And to your point, he's constantly having to prove. I know we all know Paul was a great man and was doing the right thing. But for some reason, he was always having to overcome his past or overcome other people or Judaizers who hated him or whatever. And that's just how it is. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, you got large sums of money and the reputation. We go to the next verse here. He goes, taking precautions. We got this guy with us, and we're taking precautions so that no one will discredit us in our administration of this generous gift. For we have regard for what is honorable, not only in the sight of the Lord, but also in the sight of men. Does anybody, and I don't know, I don't think it's in the text anywhere, but maybe I've missed it. Does anybody have any idea the amount of money they might have had? It's a good possibility it's more than $5. And if they're going to different churches and they're making a collection, I don't want to speculate because I don't know, but I would imagine it's a lot. Would y'all agree with me? It's not a little, it would be a lot. And when you have a lot of something, what is it hard to do? Keep a lot of it. um, Yeah. I mean, they're taking up a large collection, and they want to make sure. And so I like this word precaution here. You do a precaution not because you're a dishonest person. You're doing a precaution not because you've been accused of anything. You do a precaution so that no one will. So you're above board. We may be the most honest and upright person, but I still think it's a good idea to do a precaution. Paul is an honest and upright person, and he has a precaution. And so I asked the question, why did Paul do that? Did he have to do that? He's the Apostle Paul. He is the Apostle Paul, and yet he took precautions. And so I challenge each of us. Why should we, or why shouldn't we take precautions? I probably didn't word that correctly. Should we take precautions in things that we do? Because we're a bad person? Because people think we're a bad person? To protect our reputation. To protect our reputation. And I think we need to think about that. I think we need to think about that so there is never any rumblings or any side conversations or anything that's out there that we take precautions like Paul did. Paul is setting an example for us. Yes, sir. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. They're going to accuse him. Uh, if it hasn't happened in your life already, you're going to get accused of doing things that you've never done. And Paul's getting it. But if you take precautions, you can do that. If you go into meetings, take 2 people with you. There's a scripture for that. So they can't accuse you for saying something you didn't do. You have a witness. If you're counting money, have multiple people counting the money. So nobody can say, oh, I don't know, something happened. Anytime you're meeting or doing, always have multiple people. I think that's so important. You know what we do at work? We record everything. I am the most recorded person you've ever met. Everything I do is recorded. And on occasion they'll go back and they'll watch the video. I've had that happen a couple times, and I got a call from senior people above that watch the video. But we take precaution to the next level. We record everything. So I train all my people not to record anything or to write anything in writing. If you're going to make a deal that's shady, don't put it in. I'm kidding. I don't do. Okay. We have sent with him our brother, whom we have often tested and found diligent in many things, but now even more diligent because of this great confidence in you. Wait a second. I thought they already had a famous preacher that went with them. Who's our brother? We got Titus. We got a famous preacher. Johnny, did you figure this one out? The brother? Yeah, I'm sorry. Johnny was reading. I know, you were in deep thought. Oh, okay. All right, sorry, Johnny. All right, Dale, do you know who the other brother is? Our brother? We don't know who it is. You're gonna find it funny. I put it, the man identity is unknown, but possible candidates are Luke, Apollos, Barnabas, Silas, Timothy, Mark. Most people think it's Luke. If you were going to gamble, most scholars would say it's Luke. They think the preacher's Apollos, and his brother is Luke, the physician, who was well thought of as well. I don't know who it was. I'm just telling you, if we were to ask 100 people, 99%, I'm kidding, 50% would say Apollos and Luke. Yes, Johnny? Yep. 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 And so it's interesting here that Paul doesn't name this famous preacher. He doesn't name the brother. He only names Titus. Well, why? Why would he only name Titus? But he wouldn't name these other two people. Guys, Gerald, you're asking questions we don't know the answers to. But I'm trying to get you to think, though. Titus was his partner. Yep. 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 And maybe Titus was the one they knew. And maybe this famous preacher and brother was from another area and they knew Titus. So I'm sending Titus, and he's bringing this famous preacher and this brother of ours that's with you. And they're going to come. And you need to give. Remember, they haven't given yet. Remember, this is all about encouraging them to do what they wanted to do a year ago. And he's wanting them to do that. You know, his great confidence in you. Who does he have great confidence in? The Corinthians. I loved it when he put that there. It's kind of weird. He's kind of beating them up and telling them, everybody's giving but you. You said you were going to give and you haven't given yet. And then he starts ending this thing very nicely. He's like, I have a great confidence in you. You guys are you're awesome. Isn't that funny how he writes? He's buttering them up. I got great confidence. You guys are going to do the right thing. And that's why we're sending them. And we've got great confidence in you. As for Titus, he's my partner and fellow worker among you. As for our brethren, they are messengers of the churches, a glory to Christ. So he's telling them all of them that are coming. And then he ends, therefore, openly before the churches, show them the proof of your love and of our reasons for boasting about you. Corinth, do everything that I've been telling everybody that you're going to do. I've been building you up all across the world, telling how amazing you guys are. Now it's time for you to be amazing. Step up. Sounds like a pretty good Gerald sales pitch. Yep. Any comments or questions about this chapter? Yep. Bruce, did you have something? You're exactly right. I'm on vacation in London, England, and the vice president of finance is calling my rear end and wanting to know. And I answer the phone and I say, "Yes, sir." I said, "I'm on vacation." He goes, "Well, that's great." And then he goes right into uh, anybody else on this? Yes, Johnny. Oh, Johnny. Then. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yes, sir. Yeah, to your point, the fact that you're not being transparent means you've got something to hide, which means I'm starting to think stuff in my head already. I'm already coming up with stuff, and you ain't done any of them, but I'm pretty creative. So it's always good to be transparent. Any other comments? Yep. Johnny? Yeah, no problem. Yes, sir. So I'm going to encourage all of you to have lots of zeal, especially tomorrow and Friday, depending on when you get with your family. Scare your family to death because you're so excited about everything. I'm kidding, but have plenty of zeal and remember who we serve. Thank you, guys.